Hi, morning. It's Martin again. Yeah, different day. I've let the car drain overnight, as you can see. Around here, all the oil is drained out. It's in the containers. So all for us to do now is put a new oil filter on and a new sump plug. With the sump plugs, we never used to do that years ago. Many years ago in the 70s, I never used to do it. As long as the nut hadn't been rounded, hadn't been damaged, and the thread hadn't been damaged, you haven't cross-threaded it or anything like that. I used to keep using the same oil all the time with no problems. But it seems to be like a service thing that's happened since then. Got a new sump plug and washer. This has come from Parts for Saab, and we've also got a original Saab oil filter, again from Parts for Saab. They've sent me a box of oil and so on, although I've got some oil already from previous which has been left over, which might cover this oil change. Actually, I may not have to tuck into the new one. So let's just go about doing what we do then. First thing I want to do is prepare the sump plug. Basically what I do is put a bit of PTFE tape around it. So I'll show you that now. I'll get Joe to do the filming for me. It's heavy ground, obviously need both hands to do it. So go back a bit. Okay, so what we're going to do to prepare the new sump plug. And what basically do, it comes with a copper washer. Put the copper washer on first. Then we get some PTFE tape for use in plumbing. This gives it an extra seal. Now you don't have to wrap this for your life's worth and sort of basically put it on several times round or whatever, 500 times round. It basically seals the thread. Just a couple of times is usually quite good enough. And you stretch it round as you put it on, keeping it flat. And what you do with your fingers is basically, so you can still see the thread, like that. When you put that in, it makes it easier to get out as well after when you do it. You don't have to put it in extra tight. I've started off by hand, and then I'll just put it in with a 13mm socket, tighten it up so it's tight up to a stop, little tweak, and basically that's tight enough. Okay, so it'll be difficult for you to get under there, Joe. I'll get another car to do this. I won't be able to film you there, I think. Now just put it in by hand. Near the camera. Near the camera. So you can just see I've started off by hand there, and all I just do is tighten up the socket. Hello again. It's quite straightforward. The next thing to do an oil filter, and to prepare that I've got the old same Saab oil here. What's happened is every time I come to use it I get a bit left outstanding, so now I've actually got 4 litres, so this may cater for the whole change. What I usually do is this, is put my finger in it, put it around the seal like that first. That gives it a seal. And I also dip some oil into it to pre-prime it, get it everywhere. Bit too much actually. Now with this, you only have to put it on hand tight. You don't have to put it on with the socket which I used to get it off with to start it off. Pass me some grab please. No. That's it. As you can see, just go. As you can see, she goes on there. You just put it on hand tight. So you just put it on both hands, give it a good twist. Doesn't that way it just. Okay. So what do we do then? Once we've tightened that up, we're satisfied with that. Off the jack. She's on a level. And we can replace our oil. I've left this loose to add some gravity to get the rest of the oil out. Put it down there. And I can start filling my oil. Now I've used the Saab oil, this is a 530. You should use 530 in this country, nothing else for these engines. I've mentioned before in a previous video that there was an issue with smudging, and they had a problem when they first brought the cars out and had a recall back. They changed the oil from 1040 to 530 and stipulated more regular oil changes. So it's important to use 530 with this. Now I've got 4 litres in here, so this will probably do the fill. I've already put some in the filter itself anyway, but I'll put most of it in, let it settle. When it comes near the top, I'll just hopefully get near the maximum. So much is that. Still got a litre and a half to do. It takes about 4 litres with the filter. There's just about 4 litres in here. So, yeah. See how it settles now. And what we just basically do is give the engine a start up. And see. Let's check the level again. What's the oil's got around it? We've got just over half a litre there left. Probably will show on the dipstick at the minimum actually. With these Saab dipsticks, they're a bit infuriating. I wish they'd gone back to using a metal one. You can't always see on the black tip at the end. The minimum is there obviously, and the maximum is at the top where my fingernail is, and the difference between the two is where you should be. It's not always that clear, to be fair. So you need sort of treat me better light, which I've got here, so I'll turn the light on in it, make sure it's accurate. See if that's showing the dipstick first. She's showing. You have to give it some time. Just have to make sure it's perfectly dry first. I don't know whether it rubbed a whole lot for. That's just a habit. The thing is, when you put your last bit of oil in, put it in just a little bit at a time. Don't throw it in by gulps or anything. You don't want to go over the maximum. Yeah, she's showing in the between there. So put a little bit more in. Again, just do a little bit at a time, don't overdo it. Underfilling an engine is not a good idea because you want to obviously oil at a capacity, but don't overfill it because that can cause pressurization in your engine. I've heard stories that's natural fact happened. Just me getting covered in oil under the car. Other half is making sure I look my best. That can be done. Let's get my So what they did is, as I say, on this Talladega 6, right, they just sent them back out on the track after a super quick sort of pit stop oil change. And as I say, they averaged over 130, nearly 140 miles an hour for 25,000 miles. And then they stripped down the engines after the event and inspected the engines for reliability and so on, possible wear, and it was all very negligible. Very, very good engines, generally speaking. So if anybody tells you Saab 9.3 is a dressed up Vauxhall, not that Vauxhalls are a bad car or anything, But no, this engine's much sought after. Don't listen to them, as I say. It's a really nice engine to drive behind, and as well as very strong, providing you look after it. Let's just see what make sure it's on the max now for you. Yeah. Crack on. Now, that actually took 4 litres that was remaining in that tub, because what I've been doing, I've been using 4 litres or so and a bit for the oil changes each time, and it's left me a little bit over. So as I've gone through my oil changes, I had actually 4 litres left over left behind from the old one. So I've obviously used the old one first and then topped it up with the new one each time. It's always left a bit more and a bit more each time. So I haven't had to use this new one as yet, so I can put that ready for next time, so I won't have to buy another tub of oil for the next service. Right, next job is the plug change. Let's see if you've got some nice new plugs. NGK, that's the numbers there for you. 70S11s, these are the correct ones for the car. I preset them first, and what I do also is put a little bit of copper slip around the threads actually to put the new ones in. It's quite straightforward really. Obviously they're under the direct ignition cassette here, so the first thing you have to do is just Saab are very good at putting these tabs on, which lock thing in place when I can get to it. That's him. And when you just put this locking tab out, don't get no blade connectors with Saabs, I can tell you that now. And just pull it out like that. And when you put it back on again, you just push that back in to lock it. And then it's a straightforward procedure. A bit loose actually. These aren't terribly tight in, they don't have to be. It's 10 mils. I don't think these are the official Saab fastenings for this. I don't know if you can still get them or not. What I just do is loosen them all off first and just do them by hand. Put them, keep them somewhere safe, they don't fall around. It's a case of just lifting this off. It's best done with 2 hands, so. With the cartridge, once you lift them out by hand, it can be a bit sticky on the plugs. Try and keep them upright, or as near to as you can. Try and store them somewhere. This box will be good. Keep them upright with the plug coils facing downwards. That's quite important, they say. I'm just looking here to see if there's any debris, nothing. No, it looks all very clean, very good. To remove the plugs, they are quite small, the smaller of two sizes. Just use one of these. Yeah, I can do that one-handed. I'll loosen them all off first. When you put plugs back in, you don't have to put all your might into to getting them locked in tightly. It's basically, you should nip them up and probably a quarter turn after that. That's basically all you need to do, especially with engines with alloy heads. Very, very important. And when you go to put them in by hand. So I put them in using this same spark plug spanner. And that way you preserve your threads. Okay, I'll take this out and I'll just show you. I'll prepare one plug. It's obviously the same for all four, so you won't need to see me do that. But I'll just show you. Okay. What I'll do is just do the one plug out. Start with number one. Pull him out like so. Not too bad. A bit white at the end. Shows you when I'm probably a bit hot. That's the turbo for you, I think. When we get a new plug, first thing you want to do is make sure the top's on securely. Then we have to preset them. They're not preset from manufacturers because they could be used for other cars and they can each have their individual settings. But these are set as 1 mil. That one's okay. And you should be able to run this through the feeder gauge and feel both sides. That's just nice like that. Okay, and what we do then, I've got some copper slip grease. You don't have to cake it on, you just put a little bit on the end of your finger. Run it through the threads like so. So you've got a basic, reasonably good coverage, but a thin coverage, if you know what I mean. It doesn't have to be swimming in this stuff, you don't need to do that. It's best not to. What that basically means, it means when you take your plugs out again, they'll be easier to come out. So I'll just put that in straight into here. My fingers can't reach into the. I can just seat them in. Put them by hand. Keep it nice and vertical. Once it nips up to tight, give them a twist. So, for half a turn. That's plenty. There he comes. That's all you need to do. It's the same with each plug. So obviously, won't need to show you each plug as it happens. But as I say, once you feel it go tight, don't twist too much more. About half a turn on top of that. So you just locks in. That's fine. You don't need to put your plugs in really, really tight with a long arm sort of thing. Don't over tighten them, especially as I say with alloy heads and stuff, which modern engines have. A lot of my old cars had alloy heads as well, like Fiats and so on, with the twin cam and the Alfa Romeos. Okay, so it's the same with this. It'd be the same with each plug. It's quite simple. Check each plug as it happens. Methodically go through it. Put the top, make sure the top's on and the resistor on the top. Bit of copper slip around. Check your gap. Make sure your gap's done first. And put it in by hand. It's quite straightforward, yeah. Another thing is, this one was a little bit too tight originally, or a little bit wide open I should say. This one was a little bit loose. If they're like that, you want to know how to adjust them, just tap them on the end of the door or a piece of wood. Just gently, it doesn't have to be hard, because they're not sort of very rigid. They used to be a bit more rigid than this years ago actually, but just like that. Or you can pry it open a little bit if it's too tight, just slightly, ever so slightly that is, to get, if it's too narrow, if it's too tight to go in. So that's how you do your adjustment. As you can see, basically the reverse procedure of taking it off. Place the direct cartridge over, make sure they're over the plug heads. You just have to look underneath it slightly so they line up with the plug heads at the top. Then just drop it down, push this one back in and put the lock, make sure you put the locking tab, which is the red one, and push that back forward in its place to lock it down. With the nuts each time I do them in opposites, so I do there, 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 just like you were talking a head down really. I just do them by hand first, and let's use a ratchet just to nip them up. Last thing we can do is just check on the oil filter, the air filter. That's okay. With these you can either use a very small screwdriver to undo the basic Jubilee clip, or a 7mm socket. I bought this as it's easier to do the job. This one's nice and loose. And just pull that off like so. Then you've got some clips either side here. It does take a screwdriver to unclip them because they are quite rigid in Saab tradition. Like so. This just brings them off like that. Have a look at your air filter. As you can see, it's one of these. Get them out a minute. I have one of these performance ones put in, which basically they stay clean for a very long time actually, but you can buy some fluid, special fluid, to actually give them a real good clean up and everything else. This one, it looks very clean, it hasn't got no dust around it, nothing like no debris. She runs very well like that actually. But next, I think probably in the winter time I should buy some fluid to make sure it's thoroughly cleaned out, which is okay. Obviously putting it back in is a simple reverse. You put it back into the lid first. See, putting it upside down. There's a camera lady when you need one. That puts on there, flips on there, and you pull the clips back up and do the thing up accordingly. Okay, all done, good to go. Put the air filter on, just put the clips. We do this back up again. It's quite straightforward. Thing to do after your oil change, just do a quick few visual checks before you set the car up and you can't see anything there, which is no drips at all, nothing like that coming out. Just check the oil filter. Can't see now because I haven't jacked it up. But I'll do that again, just do a few visual checks, make sure all first before you start it up. And then when you start the car up again, get out the car, quickly look underneath with the torch, make sure there's no drips from the oil filter housing or the sump plug where you've left off. And once that's all good to go, have a wipe round, make sure it's clean, and that's it, job done. Next job I'm going to do is a thermostat. I've got that to put on, which is a case of screwing that back on. It's no big deal. I just did that as a part of a service for the coolant tank on the side. But I've got to get some antifreeze first for it. That's a recommended antifreeze for it, and some, very important, some distilled water. Always important to use distilled water with coolant. It stops it from, it's anti-corrosive, as well as your antifreeze being anti-corrosive. So I'll get some of that first, and I'll put that on another video. But that's going to be straightforward. I'm not going to do a big flush, nothing like that. The coolant on the tank is very clean. I've had it flushed out before, and I've done a couple of changes since then. I had the water pump done, I had that done again, and when I did that, we put new fluids in then, of course. So it's been changed a few times already actually, but I'll do it anyway just to put a coolant refurb on it, and then should be good to go for a good while. When I connect the battery up, one thing I was going to mention just before I go is I always connect it up with the earth first and then the positive. The reason I do that is to make sure that the electrics and the modules and the ECUs and that sort of thing have an earth to go to for when you connect up the positive in the first place. Then when I take it off, I always take off the positive first in case there's any charge running in through the ECUs and stuff like that, and it's got an earth to go to and it doesn't backfire on itself. Now this is the antithesis to a lot of people do, but that's the way I do it, and that's how I do it, and I've been sticking to it since, and I'm going to stick to it now. So I'm not going to change on that one, but you might want to put in the comments your views on that. But yeah, it's just because with these modern cars, see, if you've got an earth going to it first, it's less likely when you take the positive off, it backfires trying to search for an earth. It's got an earth to go to through the battery, as in properly. If you take the earth off first and just leave the positive on, it's looking for an earth to go to, and that's when people get problems with their ECUs and their modules and this sort of thing. So that's the theory behind that. Okay, I'll just do one or two checks over and we'll get it started up, and I'll say obviously a goodbye to you. Moments of truth. When we start the car, on the brake, all lights out, no warning lights, that's fine. Then what we do is get out the car, check underneath, there's a light, what we've got, yeah, that's fine. That's fine too. Let it run for a second or so. Get the oils around it. And I'll switch it off. Leave it for about 10, 15, 20 minutes. Check the oil level again. And if I need to add some of it more, whatever, after it's circulated around, I'll just top it up to such a fraction. But I don't think it will. I think it'll be alright. So that concludes the service then. Just to show you I dispense my oils nicely. I use this tub, this old drainer can on the bottom there. I've been using that for, as I say, since the early 90s. Got the old oil filter there. So that's the oil that came out the oil filter. And that can there. And that one there, the big drainage can basin I've got there. You can see my old sump plug. There, still got a bit of remainder of the PTFT on it. And the old washer there, with the oil there accordingly. Looks dark there, just a black bin, but it's, as you can see from the basis of that, it's still quite clean. So that concludes it for today then. So thank you very much for tuning in. And once again, don't forget to subscribe and like and so on, as we do say these things and other people do, so I might as well say the same. Nice to tune in for everybody, and see you next time.